tears don't lie, but do they mean goodbye? Jimin's collapse after Jungkook's heart-wrenching farewell speech sends shockwaves through the future of BTS in a moment that sent tremors across the global entertainment industry. Park Jimin, known for his unwavering composure even under intense public scrutiny, broke down in tears as Jungkook delivered a farewell speech that has now become a lightning rod for speculation, grief, and growing uncertainty. Is this truly the end of BTS as we know it? What triggered such raw emotional outpouring in a group known for their discipline, resilience, and synchronized unity? And why did Jungkook's words sound less like a temporary goodbye and more like a last confession, a farewell to something irreplaceable? The world watched, stunned and silent, as video clips and eyewitness accounts began to emerge from the departure gate of Incheon International Airport. Jungkook, the Golden Magne, stood in front of his members and selected staff with what appeared to be rehearsed calm, but his voice betrayed an emotional intensity rarely seen in public addresses. "Thank you for everything. If this is the last time we are together like this, know that I love you more than anything," he said, his words reported by several South Korean media outlets. And at that moment, Jimin, who had stood beside him countless times with unshakable steadiness, visibly trembled and turned away, his shoulders quaking, his hands covering his eyes. This was not just another farewell. This was different. From the very first hours following the incident, social media exploded with questions that no one was ready to answer. Why did Jimin cry like that? What made Jungkook speak as if there were no second chances? And more importantly, are we witnessing the unraveling of BTS? The K-pop industry, long accustomed to transitions and military enlistments, has rarely seen a moment so intimate and so public. According to internal sources close to HYB, who requested anonymity due to the sensitivity of the issue, the gathering at the airport was not merely a customary farewell before enlistment or overseas activity. There were heated discussions about individual futures, said one insider. Jungkook had been expressing, for quite some time, his desire to live a more independent creative life. That day wasn't just about departure, it was about divergence. This is a revelation that has reignited fears long buried beneath fan loyalty and hopeful patience. With BTS's exclusive contracts reportedly set for reevaluation at the end of 2025, industry observers now fear the inevitable, that not all 7 members will continue as an active group. Legal analysts have noted that BTS's contract structure allows for individual trajectories, even under the broader HYB umbrella. But emotional contracts, the ones fans have formed with the idea of Forever 7, do not renegotiate so easily. The emotional divide was made even clearer when Jungkook's farewell was leaked in unofficial transcripts online. It was lengthy, sincere, and had the tone of someone who had reached a personal turning point. His phrasing was deliberate, filled with finality. It wasn't just a goodbye to a chapter. It sounded like the closing of an entire book. In stark contrast to past farewells, such as when Jeon and J-Hope enlisted, the current atmosphere was laced with an unusual stillness. No jokes, no promises of swift reunions. Just silence, broken only by Jimin's sobs. This silence extended beyond the members, with HYB remaining conspicuously quiet. 48 hours passed without a single clarifying message, sparking anger and unease in the fandom. Why aren't they saying anything? Don't they understand what this means to us? Read one viral comment from a fan in Jakarta, liked over 300,000 times. For many, Jimin's reaction was the loudest confirmation yet that something irreversible had occurred. Experts in nonverbal communication quickly dissected Jimin's gestures. According to the Korea Communication Institute, his body language, avoiding eye contact, turning his face away from cameras, struggling to breathe steadily, was indicative of authentic grief triggered by a profound emotional loss. It wasn't performance. It was pain. What made the situation even more poignant was the deep personal bond between Jimin and Jungkook, forged through over a decade of shared sacrifice, growth, and vulnerability. They trained together. They failed together. They stood on the world's biggest stages together. And now, perhaps for the first time, they were facing the reality of standing apart. The complexity of their relationship, often romanticized by fans but rooted in years of brotherhood, made Jungkook's words cut deeper. "He used to wait for me in the last practice room when I failed," Jungkook once said about Jimin, a quote that now resurfaces with bitter resonance. This wasn't just professional separation. This was personal fragmentation. Meanwhile, financial implications were quick to follow. HYB's stock dropped 4.8% on the Kospi within a single day. Investors cited growing concern over BTS's commercial viability as a group. If their unity disbands, so might the business model that powered one of the most profitable entertainment empires in South Korea's history. The ripple effects weren't just emotional or symbolic. They were measurable, visible, and severe. International media wasted no time. CNN, BBC, and Japan's NHK ran features questioning whether BTS had reached their final curtain. The New York Times called the incident an emotional collapse of the most successful K-pop band to date, drawing parallels to the final days of the Beatles and One Direction. The comparisons weren't meant to exaggerate, they were reflective of the deep cultural, emotional, and financial vacuum such a dissolution would leave. Adding to the speculation is Jungkook's meteoric rise as a solo artist. Since his official solo debut in 2023, he has conquered Billboard charts, won MTV Awards, and built relationships with global producers. Reports from Variety Asia suggest that he is in talks with producers in London and Los Angeles for a fully English-language album, a move that would clearly signal his pivot towards a self-sustained international career. In his last major interview with Rolling Stone, Jungkook did not shy away from articulating his internal conflict. "I love BTS. They are my family. But there's a side of me that wants to explore music without boundaries or compromise." That quote now stands like a prophecy, a foreshadowing of the very speech that would make Jimin cry and the fandom tremble. On the opposite end of this emotional spectrum stands Jimin, representing the part of BTS that has always clung to collective identity over individual ambition. In a 2022 interview with GQ Korea, he admitted, "I'm not someone who adapts easily to big changes. I need time. I need people around me." That confession, initially dismissed as vulnerability, is now seen as a coded warning. Jimin may be the one member least ready or willing to walk away. This emotional schism between Jimin and Jungkook now mirrors the silent fracture possibly forming within BTS itself. No confirmation has come from any side. No denials either. Just the deafening silence of a storm still forming. HYB's strategic silence is now under scrutiny not just from fans, but from analysts as well. "They may be waiting for the right moment to break the news," says Han Ju-young, an analyst from Entertainment Weekly Korea. But in this age of information, absence of communication is more damaging than misinformation itself. The corporate delay in response could be tied to sensitive contract renegotiations or financial timing. But public perception has already shifted. For many in the fandom, especially longtime armies, the trust has been fractured. Not just because of the possible break, but because of how it's being handled, or rather, not handled.